Welcome back to the Weekly Manga Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about all of your favorite ongoing Japanese manga. This week, it is time again for our once yearly recommendation episode. This year, just like last year, we'll be talking about things you should be reading that you probably aren't. A sort of hidden gem, or at least underrated gem episode, if you will. So stick around for all that manga news and more coming right up. Hello again, my name is Bruce. I am the proprietor of the White Gray Black YouTube channel. This week I am joined again by my constant co-host Gautam.
Hello, hello.
Special shout out and thanks to our Patreon subscribers for October, Yaji Black and Kevin. Thanks again. If you want to have your name read at the top of the episode, see some bonus content, check out patreon.com/WGBmanga. It's only $3 and there is a free version that you can follow for updates. All right, Gautam, let's talk about our recommendations this year. We're going to do a top 10, 5 that each of us brought. The general consensus, or the general, parameters for this, I would say, is that this is not super popular stuff, right? Would we recommend that you go read One Piece? Yes. That's not on our recommendation list because it's very popular.
It's implied. It's
Yes.
implied that you should read One Piece.
Yes. So these are sort of like these are non-implied recommendations in that you're not going to see other people recommending these nearly as much.
I don't know. You might.
You will, but you're not going to see it as much as people saying go read One Piece, right? So.
Yeah. Let's just say I hastily threw my list together based on gut feeling.
Yeah, mine is also very much sort of a gut feeling thing, and I definitely left off some stuff that I could have included. But let's hop in. Let's hop in with your first recommendation here, Gautam. Go Loser Ranger by Negi Haruba.
You know, this feels like a mainstream popular rec, but it's just not, right?
No.
Like, nobody reads this. Like, what gives? Everyone should read Ranger Reject.
It's
so good. If you've seen me and Bruce talk about this before, we love the heck out of Ranger Reject. It's fucking amazing. So I'm bringing it again this year. Might be the last year. Who knows if it ends?
The last time we talked about this, maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago, with a sneaking suspicion that it might be kind of winding down, not necessarily prematurely, but winding down hastily, I would say. This one feels bad to have to recommend it because this I feel like should be more popular. This is like one of the most well-written kind of mystery undercover type stories. The basic premise is there's a foot soldier and there's Power Rangers, and the foot soldier is trying to infiltrate the Power Ranger structure to take them down. It goes a lot deeper than that, but this is just one of the most well-written mystery things like I have ever read. It's so good. I think the art is fantastic. I think the style and everything is great. Massively underselling. So,
Foot Soldier D is still like one of the most charming shithead protagonists in manga. I absolutely adore him. He is charismatic. He's dumb as bricks, but he's crafty, so he figures it out. Just a great main character. Great series overall. I also adore this one. Hopefully it lands the ending because clearly we've been gushing about it for years.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
This is one of those
I won't
ones...
spend too much time on it, but yeah, go read it.
Yeah, for sure. This is one of those ones where if we bring it up on the podcast, instead of, 10 or 15 minutes, like we might go over a normal thing, we devolve into 30, 45-minute discussions because there's so many mysteries to uncover, so much foreshadowing, so many sort of hints and stuff like that. So this is a really deep kind of... it exists in the shonen medium, I guess you could say, but this feels very like complex and adult to me most of the time.
It does, and I think one thing I really respect, it's like there's a huge grand mystery that the main character is and isn't involved in. What I really respect is that despite being a shonen, Foot Soldier D doesn't get a power up like a typical shonen protagonist. He doesn't like become stronger than everyone. He's still like the weakest dude in any given situation. He's just crafty. He just figures it out. And
he's crafty.
It
and
never
shitty
feels
and,
like an ass pull, I guess,
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly well executed series. I think it's excellently written. This is by Negi Haruba. This is the author of Quintessential Quintuplets. That doesn't say much because I think this is massively better than Quince was, and I liked Quince a lot. I think I maybe talked about it, probably not on the podcast, but pre-podcast.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, yeah, I actually didn't know if you liked this or Quince better.
Quince is good, and I think Quince is also a very good. The sort of the thing that people don't really talk about in Quince is that after kind of you're like introduced to all the girls, so maybe after I don't know, like 40 or 50 chapters, it really becomes a mystery. You kind of find out that the MC had met one of these girls years ago, and that's the one he's in love with, but you don't know which one he met, right? So, and the mystery elements of Quintessential Quintuplets are also really good. Like Negi Haruba is an excellent mystery
This
writer.
dude should just do a pure mystery next time, huh?
Yeah, I mean he's exceptionally good at that. So yeah, and I kind of like that he weaves it into other types of stories.
Maybe you're right. Yeah, I like that too, because I don't think a detective thing would sell. But yeah, you're right. He clearly loves the mystery genre.
Yeah, and he clearly likes sort of planning his stories out and knowing, having the foreshadowing and the hints, and it's a planned out thing. Like the mysteries in Ranger and the mysteries in Quince, they all turned out sort of like, yes, there were hints. We can figure this out. We get a reveal or something. It's like, that makes sense because we've known about it. I just think he's just an excellent, excellent writer. I don't know why this doesn't sell more. Maybe it's just too niche. I don't think maybe, Sentai Ranger stuff doesn't sell super well. This one also, I think, had a less than stellar anime, which also the worst part of Ranger is the very start of it, I think, is good, and then the first kind of major arc is the worst part of the story. Like, is not very good, and then it gets really, really, really good after that. So this got a season 2 announcement a couple of weeks ago, and season 2 is gonna fucking rock for this anime.
It's just the second arc is they're in a parking lot, and I fucking hate parking lots. That's what I realized. It's like, anything set in a parking garage, it's a bad setting. Anyway,
it also introduces literally
we're in that arc for too long. Yeah.
It also introduces literally every single other character that you need to know throughout the rest of the story, like in a single 20 chapter arc, which is not very good. But
anyway, we digress. There's one mid arc, and the rest are bangers. Go read it.
Absolute bangers after that. So yeah, Go Loser
what do
Ranger,
you got on
Negi
your
Haruba.
list?
Yeah, let's get. I usually put this at the end because it's the thing that I want to recommend the most. But I realize that hopefully people are watching, and the start maybe is the better place to put this. So I'm putting this at the start. This is Yomi no Tsugai, also called Demons of the Shadow Realm, by Hiromu Arakawa, a noted author of Full Metal Alchemist and Silver Spoon and Arslan. This is, in my opinion, probably one of the best manga being published right now. Like, Arakawa does not miss. This is so good. And the reason it's on this list is not because of the Japanese readers, because Japan buys the shit out of this. This sells 250,000 copies every volume. In the West, no one talks about this series. I feel like I'm shouting into the abyss of the Western manga world every time I bring up Yomi no Tsugai.
Because I'm here too. You've been shouting at me.
Yes, for years. Chapter 1 came out, and I was like, dude, you have to read this. I think you read chapter 1, but I don't think you read any more. But
yeah. I had to read. I've read it 4 chapters.
Okay, yeah. I mean, and it's more difficult to recommend because it is a monthly series, so it's a little bit sort of like it falls out of your mind. You forget it's there if someone isn't posting about it. But like, why aren't more people posting about this? This is, if you ask me, like, what manga is the closest to Full Metal Alchemist, right? Which is one of the most widely, exalted and lauded manga and anime series of all time, right? Like, if you ask anyone, they would say Full Metal Alchemist is amazing. Like, the people who don't like Full Metal Alchemist, 1, are wrong. 2, are being contrarians because everyone else loves it, but everyone else loves it because it is incredibly well written. The world building is insane. The characters are awesome. The emotional context, everything in it is good. Yomi no Tsugai has all of that. This is literally Full Metal Alchemist Part 2. It has all of the same trappings of it, and no one in the West is talking about it. It's literally,
it fails the coworker test. It's like, I can say, hey, have you read Death Note? Have you watched Death Note? Have you watched Full Metal Alchemist? And those are non-cringe titles. Mm-hmm. And I can say that. But if I can't say Yomi no Tsugai in my workplace, and I can't say Daemons of the Shadow Realm even more. Yeah.
It has an unfortunate, lazy, lame Western title, which I think will hurt it a little bit, but probably not as much. When people know that it's from the author of Full Metal Alchemist, Daemons of the Shadow Realm shouldn't hurt it that much, but it definitely does. Because if it had a title as banger as Full Metal Alchemist, I think it would be just more popular. People would know about it. But yeah, I mean, this is, the go read chapter 1. There's a lot going on here. It's hard to kind of set the stage. It's essentially about a pair of twins who possess a certain special powers. And then the other kind of power structure here is that everyone has these demons that follow them around, and every demon is a set of twins or a pair of two. So the main character here, Yoru, his demons are just called Left and Right, or Migi and Hidari, I think, are the Japanese names. But they're sort of like ancient protectors. They're very powerful. Some of the other ones are like, one girl has, that are like two halves of a mouth, and they come together and make one big mouth for attacking. One guy has like what is it? He has like an anglerfish and a grouper, and
it's like a male and female anglerfish.
Yeah, maybe it's male and female anglerfish. I don't remember.
I think that's what you mentioned last time.
Yeah. I think that's right. And one of them he can put any like object inside of, and then the other one can spit it out. So they have all these cool powers where it's like it's not like a single power. It's like two powers, but they're complementary. Like one guy has a white moth and a black moth that kind of can swarm together, and the white moth is stronger during the day and can do certain things, and the black moth is stronger at night. So the power system is like very, very cool and very unique and individual. The writing is good. I think Yoru is one of the best protagonists out right now. He is like, in the same way that Edward and Alphonse Elric were excellent protagonists, he's even better. He's even more, I'm going to go get shit done. I know what I'm doing. I have things I want, and I'm going to go get them. He does not sit around. Things do not happen to Yoru. He goes and does things, which I think is just excellent. This is an amazing read. More people really need to read this. We are up to, I want to say 6 or 7 volumes in the West. I think maybe the 7th or 8th volume is coming out pretty soon. So this is, to let you know, I am not a manga collector. I own a lot of volume 1s just to sort of check things out, and then I'll usually continue reading digitally. I own every single Western volume of Yomi no Tsugai. I like it so much. So
he does like it a lot, but I think anyone who has listened to this podcast has had an earful because we have been peddling Ranger Reject and Yomi no Tsugai for centuries.
We go hard on these. These are things that we are both very passionate that not enough people read them, and more people need to be read them because they are some of the best things out right now.
They're so good, man.
Cool.
Well, I can only speak to Ranger Reject. I'd be a fraud if I said
you need to fucking read this. It's so good, man. Like it's so good. It is monthly is the hardest thing where it's like, you have to wait 30 days between chapters, and that you kind of lose it, but I still think it's great. Gautam, hit me with your next one.
Yeah, Spider-Man Octopus Girl. I think this is surprisingly slept on in the West as well. I don't know how it's doing in Japan, and no clue. But yeah, I'm not even a Spider-Man guy or a huge comic book guy to begin with, but I like Spidey. He quips, and he's a funny little dude, swings around and stuff. Doc Ock is like a weird villain to choose to base a manga on, because they not only went with Doc Ock, they went with like the chubby, dorky haircut, goofy Doc Ock design from the old
Doc
comics.
Ock.
Yeah, classic Doc Ock.
90s Doc Ock, I guess you could say, yeah.
It comes through so perfectly in this comic. It's basically Doc Ock possesses a Japanese schoolgirl. And it's not horny like you think it would be, like most of these possession stories are. It doesn't even cover that, luckily. Doc Ock is like this egomaniac, and this girl is like purely innocent and nice. And it's like, it's not frustrating. It's just nice banter between the two. Mm-hmm. And their moral compass aligns more often than you would think. Doc Ock is just a huge tsundere about things. It's charming. It's funny. It has a lot of heart. I think it just works on every level. If you're looking for something like, I don't know, this is the same person who did My Hero Vigilantes, and
I was going to bring that up. Yep.
Yeah, it shares a lot of the same DNA in how the author hits emotional beats really well. Yeah, while still keeping it light, loose, and cool.
It's still fun.
It just works.
Yeah. This is excellent. I'm not caught up on this, but I read the majority of it. I think I'm maybe like 2 or 3 months behind, but yeah, this is excellent. And I was going to bring it up if you weren't, that, yeah, this is from from Furuhashi, Hideyuki, and Betten, who did My Hero Academia Vigilantes, which if you've ever heard us talk about it on this podcast, which we did, I guess probably a year ago when it ended or so, it's better than the original, like by better writing, better characters, better, everything but art, I guess I would say, than the original. I think it's excellent. If you want a recommendation of something that's finished by these two and you want to see how they write, Vigilantes is like super, super, super excellent. And so is this. This is also good. And I grew up on, Spidey and Batman and comics like that. So I'm into this even more because there's little hints, like schoolgirls emulating, Scorpion and some of these other bad guys and Rhino and stuff like that. That's really fun nods that clearly these guys were either influenced enough from My Hero to go and check out Western comics, or they were already into them, because it feels very inspired by the classic Spider-Man stories, whose generally Spidey is not.
They're definitely just into comics. Knucklebuster is just Batman. So
yeah, Knuckleduster is very, very Batman coded, but yeah, I mean it has the same kind of vibes as a lot of Spider-Man stories, where Spider-Man is usually not the kind of dark and gritty, everyone dies. Like, he has that happen, and usually people don't like it. People like your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and this is sort of like your friendly neighborhood schoolgirl possessed by Doc Ock, but it's like there's some serious stuff going on, and there's real kind of tension and drama in it. So don't think that it's all fluffy and good, but it has that kind of positive things will be okay and good people do good things vibe that Spider-Man often has, which I really like about the series.
And I like that the representation of Doc Ock, he is a narcissistic egomaniac, but he isn't devoid of a moral compass. He has a strong one, in fact. It's like, it's cool to see nuance. And yeah, if you like Deadpool Samurai, another really good one, I didn't put it on the list, but it's a lot of fun to read. Characters from Deadpool Samurai are incorporated in Octopus Girl, like the Sakura spider from that one.
Yeah. The most unfortunate thing is that this, for some reason, is not on Jump Plus for us.
What?
Or this is not on Manga Plus for us. This is on Jump. Really, no, this is on Jump Plus. I think
I actually don't know the difference between the two.
So Manga Plus is the Western English published. Jump Plus is the Japanese Jump digital platform. So yeah, we use them kind of interchangeably because they do publish almost all the same things. Like we historically
weird
didn't.
That it's not on Manga Plus, because
my guess
this
is
like the best fit. One of the best fits,
yeah,
right?
For sure. Well, and my guess this has something to do with publishing Spider-Man in the West. My guess is that they have permission to publish a Spider-Man a comic that features Spider-Man or Spider-Man characters in Japan, and they do not have permission to do that in the West. That's sort of my guess there. I wish Marvel would just publish this. Like, even if they did, I feel like that even would be worth it. I think people would eat this up if this was on whatever Marvel's digital reader is called. So, but yeah, this is a super good series. I like it a lot. I'm glad that these two are sticking together and doing stuff after Vigilantes, because Vigilantes, like you mentioned, is really, really good, and so is Octopus Girl.
And yeah, you can tell with how My Hero Academia kind of just copied the ending of Vigilantes.
Yeah, Vigilantes did it better and with less characters and no time.
Yeah. Well, hey, we won't get into shitting on My Hero Academia.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, this will go from a 45-minute episode to an hour and 45. So
exactly.
All right, cool. Let's hit the next thing. I wanted to throw. Historically, I like to suggest something that's either romance or slice of life or a little bit slower. So this is kind of the light romance one that I'm bringing this year. This is Tsumiki Oogami's Not So Ordinary Life. This is by Miyu Morishita. We have talked about this on the podcast, maybe not recently, but a couple of times. I think this is the new Komi-san to me, where it's like, this is just, it's lighthearted, it's sweet, it's, saccharine, but it's kind of more interesting because instead of just being, it's a awkward girl who can't make friends, this is like, it's a werewolf girl, and she goes to school with a bunch of other, weirdo half monster people, where there's like a Medusa girl and a mermaid girl and a siren and a vampire boy, and it's like, but instead it isn't, it's one of those things where they take those kind of horror monster angles to them and they make them interesting and they make them points of tension, but it isn't like scary or bad. It's one of these things where it's like, Oogami, the sort of main werewolf girl here, her like like her feet are big claws. She has like big feet, and that means that like her socks get holes in them. You know, it's like little stuff like that, right? Or it's like the vampire guy knows that he's very alluring to other people, and so he's worried that no one is his real friend. He's worried that he's just always using his like vampire powers to make people like him. And it's stuff like that. I think this is incredibly.
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, this is like incredibly well written. It's really sweet. There like no love rivals, if that's a thing that really bothers you. I know that lots of people really push back against that. You know that the main couple is going to win in the end. It's super sweet. I don't know. It's just it's very sweet. It's very uplifting. The romance in it I think is good. I think that the two main characters connect on a level that is more than just, oh, of course they're going to end up together because the story says so. I think that they actually, kind of like things about each other. I think the male MC is definitely not the most interesting character, but I definitely think he's not totally devoid of personality, which is another big problem here. But the side characters is kind of where slice of life and romance things like this really tend to shine. And I think the side characters are all great here. There's one of the recent completed arcs was there's like a spider girl who was told in the past, like, not to use her webs to make art because I can't remember why exactly. And then, of course, it climaxes in, she gets to use her webs to save people and do all this cool stuff. And so, yeah, it's really interesting. It has the sort of fantasy element of these monsters combined with these school kids. And those are points of tension that are interesting and different, that it's more than just, I like this person, or it's the school festival. Let's, do our school festival thing. It takes all of the kind of classic high school romance tropes and throws these interesting angles in with like vampire kids and mermaid and a really competitive, I can't remember, she's a unicorn or something. It's like a really competitive unicorn girl who wants to outrace the werewolf girl. And so, yeah, this is just really interesting. This is really great. Last year, I think I recommended.
Nobody uses unicorns. That's a unique one.
Yeah, there's some context with unicorns historically, maybe, but I don't know. Unicorns kind of didn't stick around in fantasy very long.
What is the context?
The context is they're how do I say this? They're coded to virginity in most fantasy instances.
Yeah, but I mean, nobody really cares about historical, right? Like, because otherwise they use kappas a lot, right? And kappas don't they like disembowel you or steal your balls or something like
they
that?
eat you through your butthole or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Whatever it is, we saw that a couple of months ago in that.
Oh, that's right.
That series. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, this one is really good. I was saying last year, I think I suggested Nagatoro was my sort of big romance thing, and that ended this year. I would still say you should go read that. But this one is ongoing. I think this is one of the better romances ongoing right now. Super cute, super fluffy, good art, interesting stuff. So yeah, only positive things to say about it here.
Hey, can I give a shout out while we're in the romance section? Momose Akira's First Love Struggles. I really like that.
It's a new one.
I would have brought it. Yeah, it's new. It's only 6 chapters so far. That's why I didn't bring it, because it's only 6 chapters. Very funny. Usually I don't like romance series because the male MC is usually a brick wall of personality. But this one is great. He is very weird. So is the girl. It works.
We talked about that. Actually, let me see when, because we talked about that really recently, but I don't remember which. I don't remember which episode.
Exactly I think we talked about like a few weeks ago. But
yeah, I think 3 weeks ago.
Me and Bruce
maybe?
were like messaging about how good it stayed recently, just on Discord.
Yeah, it's I mean, it continues to be very, very good.
So just a shout out to that.
Yeah, super. Was it a month ago?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. It was actually a while ago, but yeah, it's very good. All right, so next up, Gautam, hit me with your Korean manhwa.
Yeah, so this is I don't know how many people listen to us read manhwa. I don't know how many manhwa you read, Bruce.
0. Every time I used to read only, what was the big one?
The Tower of God.
No, not Tower of God. I hate Tower of God. We won't get into that.
God of High School.
No, the
Solo Leveling.
Solo Leveling. Yeah, Solo Leveling was the one that I read, and man, that fell off hard at the end. Every other one I've tried to read has not been good. Although you've been suggesting this one to me for a year now, so I need to check it out.
Yeah, it's just my favorite manhwa. I think it's the best. And it's interesting because the main character, it basically is this. It starts out like everything I hate, kind of like, but it works. The main character is this like social pariah, like he's like anxious, he doesn't like people, whatever. His only friend is this book he has read through all the way through, but towards the end, it was like hemorrhaging readers. He's the only one who's read it. It's called like Way of Survival at the End of the World or something like that. And then like the situation of the book happens, and he's the only one who knows how it plays out. By my description, this should be something I don't like, but it is so incredibly good. Because it's watching this dude navigate through these end of the world like Hunger Games situations and tests with his strategy guide of information while also being weak as fuck. So it's like him navigating through unwinnable situations, not even by scamming, just by, I don't know, working around his lack of power with information. And it's just really good. It's well written, and it never feels like he has all the answers or he has an easy win because he knows the solution to this problem kind of a situation. It always feels like a struggle to get through every single one of these things. But at the same time, the character feels also hyper confident. I don't know how to say this in a way where it doesn't feel like this guy just like solo levels power scales through it, but it straddles the line between a power fantasy and like a hard-earned struggle and earned victory.
It sounds like it's the kind of thing where like instead of oh, I've played this one video game so much and now I'm sucked into the video game, the dude's just like, I'm the only person who's read all of these books, and my power is I've read the books. And it's like a little bit better in that regard. But
yeah, and the world end situation in the books has like a plethora of unwinnable situations that have complex solutions that have ramifications that have ramifications that have ramifications. You know, it's like it does a really good job at world building. I think that's where it really shines, is kind of the impact every decision has on the world. Just a good read. And I need to read
this because you've been suggesting this to me for years, and I look at it and I go like, I don't want to read it.
It's really good. I think the anime is coming out here in a bit, so I think maybe we see more people jumping on this train.
Yeah, probably. Hopefully, it's a good adaptation because that usually brings some people on. So
yeah,
cool.
Alrighty.
Next up for me is another kind of slice of life thing. I think this is the best slice of life going right now. This is a series called Dinosaur Sanctuary by Itaru Kinoshita. The plot of this is basically slice of life running a zoo, but the zoo is dinosaurs. Which is like it just makes it
Jurassic Park.
Yeah, it is a sort of Jurassic Park if it is literally Jurassic Park if Jurassic Park was like managed well mostly. And I say mostly because the main character's dad died in a dinosaur attack like 10 years previous to when the start of the series, but which is a plot point, obviously. But
And did they Harambe the dinosaur?
I think so. I don't remember.
Oh my god!
I don't remember if they've talked.
There's a Harambe in this.
I think they did. I don't remember exactly. Someone else who reads this will have to tell me. I think they do end up. I think they do end up killing the dinosaur that like attacked her dad or whatever. But
I mean, that's fair. Because Harambe didn't even kill anyone. The dinosaur did.
That's true. Yeah, the dinosaur. Yeah. So I mean, it's a larger, scarier thing. It's like falling into a tiger pit, or you just got it.
Or a gorilla pit.
I guess or a gorilla pit. Yes. Okay. So Dinosaur Sanctuary is basically Harambe but dinosaurs. But no, this is something that I really like about people in general is I like when people are passionate about something. It doesn't really even matter what that something is. If I meet you and you're really into singing country music and that's like the thing you're really into, like I will listen to you talk about that. I think that's very cool. I think one of the reasons that this podcast works is that we're both really passionate about manga and stories and talking about it. And I enjoy myself both talking about things that I'm passionate about and listening to other people talk about things they're passionate about. And something in Dinosaur Sanctuary that really is cool is that you can feel the author's passion for dinosaurs, and it comes through in the characters. The characters are all very sort of, they're kind of assigned to different groups of dinosaurs or types of dinosaurs. and that they each are sort of like, these are my things. This is what I do. This is my job. This is my passion. And the main character is very passionate about sort of like getting more people to love dinosaurs as much as she loves dinosaurs. And like, by God, I haven't felt like an 8-year-old as much as I have like reading dinosaurs. Because like, remember
were
when
you obsessed
8?
with dinosaurs?
Yes. Wasn't everybody when they were like 8 or 9?
I definitely was. I wanted to be a paleontologist as a kid. I knew so many dinosaurs.
I did too until I saw Jurassic Park when I was like 10 maybe. And then I was like, maybe this is really scary and I don't want to do this.
I was obsessed with Land Before Time and Jurassic Park.
Yes, Land Before Time is excellent.
You know what's sad is that I lost my interest in dinosaurs as soon as I discovered Pokemon.
Yes, no, that actually lines up because I remember, because Pokemon came by in like, I think I was like 2nd or 3rd grade. And I remember being into dinosaurs at that time. And then by the time it was like Gold and Silver came out, like 4th or 5th grade, I was like, I'm not into dinosaurs. I'm only into Pokemon now.
I know. It's like made up dinosaurs is what you're into now.
Yeah, but it's like it's connected though, right? And it's I don't know, it's really cool. Like I said, it's a lot of zoo stuff where it's like we need to, set up an exhibit. People aren't visiting this one dinosaur. We need to, figure out a way to get more people to see them. So it's very realistic in a way, even though it has dinosaurs in it, because it's kind of about, how do you run a nature park and get people to see it and use it for preservation efforts. This is very kind of wildlife preservation discussions happen and stuff like this, even though it's around dinosaurs. All of those discussions feel real and informed. I think that the characters are all great here. The one of the main kind of tensions in the story is the main character, this girl, like I mentioned, her dad died, previously before the story started. And one of the handlers who was around at that time is like her trainer. He's like this older guy, not like super, she's like, I don't know how old she's like 20 and this older guy's like 30 or something. But he was like around when her dad got killed as one of the handlers. And so he feels a lot of guilt about that. And I think she maybe doesn't know that he was there. So there's a lot of kind of drama around there, but this is a super good series. This is published in English volumes, which I didn't know until I started reading it recently. It feels super well informed. It feels very kind of comfy slice of life. If you're into nature, if you were into dinosaurs when you were 8, I think you should read this. I think it's fun. If you're into dinosaurs now, check it out. Super interesting, super good, super well written. The art is great. Just like seeing someone just draw like realistic dinosaurs for volumes and volumes is awesome. Like you just don't. Who does that? No one does that. Like I've never seen a manga person just draw realistic dinosaurs for volumes, and it's awesome. So,
yeah. And how many chapters of this is out?
In the West, I don't know. I think there's around maybe 30 or 25 chapters. Okay. Yeah, it's been around for I think almost a year now. Let me see. Oh no, March 2021. So this is about 3 years. I think it's monthly though. So yeah, it's a monthly comic bunch. So six volumes. So yeah, I mean it's there's stuff to read there. It's very good. I like it a lot. The end of every, I don't even think it's volume. I think it's the end of every chapter has like 2 or 3 pages of like dinosaur science info of like, we think that they might have eaten this, but maybe this. And so I've included this. The researcher, Shinichi Fujiwara there, clearly doing a lot of work, but you can tell that the author, Kinoshita, also has just a lot of passion for it. So it's one of those things where you can really feel the passion for dinosaurs and zoos kind of at the same time really come through. And I think it's just a really, really good read.
Fair enough. Yeah. Go check it out. Cool.
All right, Gautam, tell me about your next one. This is We Shall Now Begin Ethics by Shiori Amase.
Hey, ethics is back on the table. It's releasing chapters again. I think the author is back from hiatus. I love We Shall Now Begin Ethics. Some people say it's up its own ass, but I guess it depends on how much you like kind of philosophy in general.
Every philosopher is up their own ass. That's like
it's
part of philosophy.
It's built in. Yes. I personally love kind of discussions around the human brain and what makes us tick, what stretches us thin. It's adaptable but fragile at the same time, and ethics really gets into that. Basically, it's an ethics teacher teaching his classroom full of students, and some of those students have serious problems at home or otherwise. And it's just like a vast variety of different kinds of students. It's not like just one archetype. It's like, well, there's the fat and ugly kid who is insecure about being fat and ugly and how that plays into his perception of reality and the people around him. There is the like girl whose sex appeal is everything and how she uses it for like validation, and it's basically him helping just in like a variety of individuals reconcile with their own issues and perception of the world around them. Because it's all about perception of the world around you, right? That's how we form our reality in the first place. And I think it does a really good job of doing that. It's like a mini philosophy lesson in every single chapter. I like the most recent one is like the problems are large scale and small scale, but it matters to the individual the same, right?
That's kind of what philosophy is, right? Is that there are these small problems which are essentially world-ending problems if you extrapolate them enough.
Exactly. Yeah, and like the recent one is there is this guy who is grappling, this kid who's grappling with his faith. His parents are like devout Buddhists, and by proxy, he is too. His girlfriend is super needy and is basically demanding of his attention and validation at all times. His parents are very needy in that they demand his commitment to the faith. And despite living an otherwise on paper happy life, he feels stretched thin and resentful a little bit, but not resentful enough to say anything or do anything about it because he still feels privileged. And it's like grappling with being okay with being a bit dissatisfied about that, and not saying, oh, everything is good, I'm lucky in comparison to the next guy,
Yeah.
And that's like a small scale problem. Of course, there's like way bigger ones for other students, but
yeah, that's a good example though, because like that's a small scale problem, but philosophy kind of grew from religious type discussions, so that's a very cool thing to see that they're hitting on that.
And I'm not religious, but it is, I appreciate the different perspectives, and especially like those surrounding faith and how people grapple with different parts of faith while still accepting that they believe. I think that's all interesting. It's just a really good manga that kind of hits angles that I don't even consider, like viewpoints that I don't think about. And I think that makes it a little bit extra special in my eyes.
This sounds, I need to read this. I think I read the first chapter a year or two ago when it came out, but I've not kept up with it.
Art style is very weird, by the way. It's good, but it's like heavy shading. Like I don't even know how to describe it. It feels like a film noir a little bit. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't need to check this out because I like philosophy. I've never really studied it or done much other than kind of casual stuff, but it is very interesting. Thinking about how to think and how to think about the world is interesting. So
and it's like kind of how like looking at something from a different angle changes what it is, despite it being the same thing. There's a lot of that involved. Yeah, good series. Go check it out.
Definitely need to check this one out. Cool. All right. This is another fairly new series. This recommendation for me is specifically for Americans, I guess I will say. This series is Drunk a Bullet. This is by Takakuchi Yanagi. This is a Jump Plus series. This is currently published on Manga Plus. This is the story of a American World War I combatant who returns home during Prohibition, which is the ban on alcohol that the United States had in like the 1920s, I guess. Yeah. And it is his kind of quest, along with some friends he makes along the way, to find good alcohol and be a good guy. He is a paladin in this series with the 1911. This is one of the most historically well-researched series I have ever read. And it's kind of insane that it's coming from Japan. Everything that this series does concerning like 1920s New York City and Chicago and gangsters and prohibition and alcohols that were available and drinks and how those people would act and how the farming of barley and rye works. I think in the latest chapter there's I don't want to speak because I didn't read it, but I saw some comments on it. There's like things talking about like race riots and kicking like African American people out of their homes because there's obviously still racial tensions in the 1920s. Think about like, that's insane to be coming out of a Japanese author. Like,
and you know, it's funny. We were saying that in the first chapter. We were like, damn, this is like, this guy knows more about American history than we do.
Exactly. Like, this is more well-researched American history than like so many things that I have ever seen. And yeah, we talked about this a couple of months ago when chapter 1 dropped, and just loved it. And it is continued to be really exceptional. That episode's 24th June if you want to go back and check it out. We talked about this in a couple other series, but yeah, this is one of those things that and I hate to always like take this angle, but it's like, man, if we get to an anime of Drunk Bullet, it's going to be one of those things that'll be like Baccano, right? Where it's like, the cool thing about Baccano is like how American it is. And Baccano is like not like, they still miss on a lot of American things. Drunk Bullet is like, this is what an American manga looks like, right? Like this is, and it's like historical, and it's cool to see that it's coming.
Can I disagree on one thing real quick? The good thing about Baccano is that it's a badass train heist. But
yes, I mean, Baccano has a lot of good things about it, but
anyway,
I think one of the cool things about it is that it is set in America during an interesting time in American history, and that it stars a cast of mostly Americans, which is like,
and good voice acting.
You know, and it's hard to be an American where, you know, Hollywood and New York City and exists, and the majority of entertainment media produced in the world comes out of America. So we are not starved for American-centric entertainment. But as someone who mainly just reads manga, there is not really a whole lot of like American-centric manga. There's like, I can't think of really any. There's Drunk Bullet might be the only one that I can really suggest. I'm sure there's a couple others out there. You can get in the comments and suggest them if you've got them, because I'd love to read more of them. But yeah, it's just one of those things that feels really cool to be like, wow, someone's finally using the art form that I really like, that I do a podcast, you know, that we do a podcast about every single week for almost 2 years now. And it's like, and they're in America, and it's historically accurate. And it is like, it just feels so cool to read something that's like, this is a manga about Americans. And it's like that. You just don't see that very often. And I think it's really cool. In addition, it's good. This is a good series. This is, it's well written. The characters are fun and funny. The alcohol angle is interesting and cool. The action in it, I think, is great. It isn't like super action heavy, but there's some confrontations. Oh gosh, who is it? Some of the mobster guys that show up in Chicago who are like the way that the author does their personality, like changes their personality into kind of a more anime manga style, is very interesting and fun and cool. I cannot recommend this one enough. I think this is excellent. I think more people should be reading this. I think this should be the thing that hits in the West really big.
I hope so. It had a really strong start. I have to catch up. I think I'm like 2 chapters behind. But
yeah, this should be one of those things that Jump takes a look at and they go, oh, you know, Japanese people kind of read this, but like, wow, everyone in America is reading Drunk Bullet every week. Like that's what I wish that they would see, and then they would go like, okay, well, let's keep making it for the audience here in America. So yeah,
I wonder if this has a bigger pull in Japan or America though, because I think like for Americans, we probably have seen these period pieces before, right? But in Japan, like it's like us watching like a Japanese high school anime where American high schools are way different, right?
Yeah,
so it's like kind of unique, different culture to us. But I wonder if this resonates more with the Japanese audience as like seeing the other side of the coin.
See, that's an interesting question, because I think it should have both appeals. Like in the same way that when we watch something that is, set around historical Japan, it's like, oh, cool, it's historical Japan. That's like, that's not something I'm familiar with. That's like a new culture for me to experience. And I think that has appeal. But then again, there's also the angle of there's just not manga that take place in America starring Americans. Like there's just not. Like there's so very few of them that I think it's so cool to finally see one that is, I mean, like everyone in this story is American and it takes place in America, right? He lands in New York City, he travels to Chicago, and it's like, have I ever seen Chicago displayed on a manga page? Like, I don't think so. I ever have. I don't even think I've heard of it. And I think that is also an appeal. So I feel like it should hit both sides of like, oh, cool, I'm Japanese and I don't know that much about American history, and this is a cool historic and American thing. That's very different. Let me read it. And us Americans should be like, I've literally never seen a manga show Chicago in the 1920s on a page, and here it is. And it's, it's mostly pretty accurate, like very, very accurate and very cool. So I feel like it should have both of those appeals. I think it definitely does, for me, definitely have that second appeal of being an American and seeing American stuff from a Japanese author here. So I hope that it appeals to Japanese in that first way, but I don't know. We'll see.
Bruce, I thought of one. I thought of an American one.
What is it?
JoJo Part 2.
JoJo, JoJo's good, yeah.
Where just like every other day in Chicago, he attaches 12 grenades to the back of a vampire.
Yes.
And then pulls the trigger and says, "This is how we do it in the streets of Chicago." And blows the vampire up.
I think they're in New York City, but yeah, that's...
Or whatever. Yeah. It's like, yeah, that's a classic Chicago maneuver, putting 12 grenades on a dude and pulling the pin.
Yeah, JoJo, I would put on the other end of the scale of this from historically accurate, but it does have some scenes in America. I will admit to that. Part 2 JoJo technically is American, so, and he also appears in Part 3 and 4. So there's some American stuff there.
He's racist in those parts.
Oh, and I think is it Steel Ball Run? I think Steel Ball Run maybe takes place in America too. But yeah,
okay.
Araki is not the person I would trust to do anything historically accurately, as fun as a writer as he is, but.
I don't know, dude. I feel like that's accurate vampire killing strategy here in America.
Who knows? But yeah, that's Drunk Bullet. I think this is an excellent series, and I'm having a ton of fun with, and is wholly unique, especially if you're American, I will say, or if you're interested in America or American history. I think that time in history is very interesting. Sort of Depression, Prohibition era. You don't hear a lot about it. This is a very kind of dark time for the world and America. So, but yeah, this is a very cool series. It's very fun. Very fun, and it's somehow fun, light, while still hitting on serious topics and alcohol. And I don't know, I like the series a lot. It's great. You should read it.
Yeah, it was a blast.
Cool. All right, Gautam, this is, I think, your last recommendation, and then mine. So tell me about Welcome to Demon School, Iruma-kun by Osamu Nishi.
I think I just end up liking Iruma more and more the more I exist in this world. It felt like, I think, a little childish when I first started reading it. It's not childish. I think it is just optimistic. It's just an optimistic series that does all of the shonen tropes that you're used to. It doesn't really subvert you that much, but it does the conventional stuff really well. It's strong, has strong execution, and I think the appeal is that Iruma is this human at a demon academy, and demons in this world are they're not like bloodthirsty maniacs. They're violent, ambitious, and they rule with power and fear, right? You've heard the saying, like, how does a king rule? It's like either through fear or through
respect,
garnering the love of people around him.
Yeah,
through respect. And you could do either. This is kind of the gist of Iruma-kun, in that Iruma-kun, in that the demons generally rule through fear. Iruma, of course, is the nicest, sweetest boy. So he is like the complete opposite. He just wins the love of everyone around him. And it doesn't feel like, it's just he's saving the world with kindness, because he kind of is, but he's also incredibly practical. He's like, he saves the world by supporting the people around him, and they figure it out. They pull out of their funk in some way, or they come up with an idea, a practical idea to resolve the situation.
What I'm getting is this is great teacher Onizuka, but it's a child at a demon school who, instead of helping high school kids, is helping demons overcome their personal problems and being respected as a leader. Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly it. I don't know if it is like GTO though, because GTO's, I don't know. That's
kind of in the angle of like helping people's problems.
Exactly. It is very much. It's very much demon therapy, but it's a fun ride. Iruma is a great protagonist. He's a little weirdo, just like the rest of them. And I think recently this year, it has been like Iruma's just climbing the ranks, right? Despite being not that strong.
You've talked about this more and more as time went on. You like mentioned it occasionally when we started the podcast and maybe before, and then like this year you've talked about it 3 or 4 times, and it's been like, okay, this is.
I think it resonates with me more and more as time goes on, because I think I value the qualities Iruma as a character and the message the author brings to the table more and more as I grow older. Mm-hmm. In that, I don't know, supporting the people around you is ultimately what drives everything. Results, happiness, a lot of that, you know?
Yeah.
And I think Iruma very much echoes that sentiment. I think it's a great series.
Yeah.
Go check it out.
This is, again, on my... I need to read this list. There's a lot of chapters of it, though, so that's scary. But
yeah, it is, but it's like a... I don't know how to describe it. It's an easy read.
Yeah.
It felt like I blazed through it.
That's awesome. I'm ready to check it out.
And of course, the author of Ichi the Witch.
Yeah, Ichi the Witch, Osamu Nishi, which is a brand new thing, which I've been enjoying. I think it's been pretty decent, pretty good so far. So yeah,
it's been okay. It hasn't caught me yet.
Yeah, isn't super grabbing me, but I do think it's better than a lot of stuff we get in Jump. Yeah. So cool. All right, last thing on the list. Remember how I said I wasn't going to suggest One Piece? Psych. It's the spiritual successor of One Piece. This is Galaxias. This is by Aoi Hatezaka. About 2 months ago, we did an episode on the first chapter of this, and it honestly blew me away how good this series was, how good this series still is. Very new series, only I think about 7 chapters, 6 or 7, 8 chapters right now. But this is in my opinion one of the only series to capture the sort of magic of adventure that something like One Piece captures. There's just not a whole lot of series where like the appeal of it is going on an adventure and searching for something and finding things along the way, finding friends and encounters and lessons and things like that. And Galaxias has shown, even in its very short time, that this author, this series knows that adventure is the key and adventure is the core. And I think the power system is really weird and interesting. The way people are called dragons and they have these tails and they have different powers, and it's very cool. Nothing feels like One Piece as much as to me this feels like One Piece in all of the best ways. In the ways that this doesn't feel like a copy of it. This feels like it was influenced by and it saw the good parts of it and it took those and used them in its own style. The art in it is gorgeous. It's just so nothing has surprised me this much, because in 7, 8, 10, 15 years of reading manga off and on and watching anime, not a whole lot of series are like true adventure series, right? Like there's not a whole lot of things out there that are like, this is about, kind of going on the journey and discovering, like I said, and finding One Piece was an eye-opener thing to me, because that's like so adventure to the core. And this is maybe the only other series I've ever found that feels like that so quickly, so massively, how clear and straightforward it is that this is about adventure and about, interesting discoveries along the way and stuff. So I am in love with I've never fallen in love with the series as fast as I have with chapter 1 of Galaxias. It's easily my best chapter 1 of the year so far. So yeah,
this might mean nothing to you, Bruce, but there was a series with a redhead who was a dragon, that also was just One Piece, and captured that sense of adventure early on, called Fairy Tail.
Okay. I'm not consumed Fairy Tail.
It feels like this author read Fairy Tail and was like, "Wow, that really went downhill. Let's let's do this again." Yeah, this is like a good version of Fairy Tail. Yeah, you're right. It is absolutely capturing that sense of adventure. It's been a blast so far. I wish it wasn't on K-Manga, but I digress.
Yeah, I also wish it has actually also been on break. It has been on hiatus for like a month. Nobody knows what's going on there. So, the saddest thing for me
goes on hiatus.
I know the saddest thing for me would be if this author ran into health issues or couldn't keep publishing this, because man, this is I am like absolutely in love with this series, and more people should be reading this. Go check it out. It is on K Manga, which is a downside. You can find other places, I'm sure, if you look for it. But yeah, this blew me out of the water. I think this is easily my favorite chapter 1 of the year so far. So, which the year is almost over. So,
yeah, it's been great. How many chapters are out? I believe.
I think it's 7. It's either 6 or 7. I don't remember.
Okay, got it.
But yeah, so I mean that's kind of it. That's our sort of top 10 you should be reading suggestions. We're gonna do a little bit of news after this. But Gautam, was there anything else you wanted to throw out there? Things you think people should be reading? Any bonus mentions, honorable mentions? There they are.
No, just Momosik Akira's First Love Struggles. Yeah. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
There's probably more that I'm just not thinking about.
Yeah, some stuff that I didn't put on here because I think it's already big enough and has a lot of readers and we'll be getting more readers soon. I think Dan to Dan, of course, I would always suggest that. Anime episode 1 aired and Twitter is abuzz with it. They like it a lot. That's one I would suggest. I think Gachiakuta is the other one I almost put on here, but that anime is coming in January and that is going to blow the fuck up because that is a really good series. So
yeah, for sure.
So if you want to be the I read it before it was popular guy and you missed out on Dan to Dan and you saw episode 1, go read Gachiakuta because that'll be the next big thing. So
we're doing a book club on it.
Yes.
Read along with us.
Yes, you can come see that on the channel. I accidentally forgot to publish chapter 10, but that's going to go up right after we record this. So,
okay.
But yeah, no worries on there. I have one quick little news thing to go over. Viz basically announced their quarterly Western publications in this list. There's some good stuff in here. Gautam, stop me when there's anything that you want to talk about. Tokyo Fears Rhapsody, The Bugle Call, Song of War.
The Bugle Calls. Actually, it's that. Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you so early, but that's a good one.
Yeah, I almost stopped in it myself because I've heard tons of good stuff about this series and I've not read it. So
it's really good and it is surprisingly funny too. So it's a good one.
Yeah, that's definitely one that I am definitely going to check out. Astro Royale, of course, Girl Crush, Ultraman, Along Came a Spider. There's more Spider-Man things there. Not so shoujo love story, Cosmos, which I've been curious to check out. Cosmos. I've heard a lot about that series too, so I need to check out that. Ogami Tsumiki's Not So Ordinary Life, the one that I mentioned there. Rai. We talked about that. I don't know if we talked about that in an episode or if you just told me about it. I think you just told me about it. We read it and talked about it, but
I told you about this. This doesn't even ring bells.
This is the girl with the monster thing. You'll recognize the cover if I show it to you. It's
oh yeah. This is funny.
Right. Yeah.
This is a funny one.
It's like she has to eat the monsters or demons or something, right? I think that's right.
Yeah, basically she has like a monster arm. She turns into this kaiju. It's not a unique premise, but it's like a funny premise.
Yeah.
It's a good series.
Yeah, that was really good. I definitely have read, I think, two chapters. That was good. Let's see, what else? The Demon Prince of Momochi House Succession. That's like a sequel to a pretty popular shoujo series.
Sequel to Succession.
Maybe not. Kill Blue, of course. These are some strange ones, this is funny to me that they are bringing these to the West. We are going to get a volume publication of Tenmaku Cinema.
That one makes sense, because I think it'll sell just from Soma's popularity in the West.
Maybe. We're also going to get Icehead Gill, which that seems like that seems. I'm trying to not be mean, but that seems like a waste of paper to me. I don't in the sense that I don't think that's going to sell. I forgot it existed while it was being published, and we were talking about it. That's how weird that series is. Jingashi X. That's that app like Naruto copy paste in China series that was out. Was canceled on Jump Plus for a while. Literally, if you read chapter 1 or 2 of that, it's like this is exactly Naruto. So again, weird that's being brought over here. Martial Master Asumi, weird that's being brought, but I'm excited. I think I will buy that just to support that's coming.
Yeah, that's sick. Okay, cool.
Yeah, because it's like I wouldn't expect them to bring those last couple of things because they were 20, 30 chapter things that were canceled pretty quick. So, but yeah, MMA, man, that's such a sad series got canceled because that was so good.
I know. What the fuck? It is so good.
It's so good. Still mad about that one. Super Psychic Policeman Shoujo, that's ongoing. Snow Angel, that's a shoujo. Nue's Exorcist, again, expected. That's pretty big. And Steel Ball Run, this is JoJo Part 7, is finally being brought to the West. I want you to, you probably saw it. It's insane to me that why are we so slow on publishing JoJo? The first chapter of JoJo Part 7 was published in 2004. It is 20 years later, and we are finally getting a physical copy of JoJo Part 7. That's insane.
I think JoJo picked up steam once like we had that anime like 10 years ago or 7 years ago.
Yeah, about 2014 is when I think JoJo started getting popular again. Yeah.
And then I think it hit another spike when the streamers people love said, I love JoJo. And then more people got into JoJo. And
definitely, I picked it up, I think, like COVID. Because it was just like, you're stuck at home, you need to watch and see more stuff. And I was like, okay, I'll watch JoJo. It's just, I think someone did like, okay, if they release like one volume every 3 months, which is like kind of what they do, it's like, we will not be getting the stuff that's being published right now, Part 9 JoJo, until like 2031 or something like that. It's just insane. So anyways, those are all things that Viz is going to bring. So that's basically it for news. I don't think we're going to worry about doing one more thing, just, with our 10 suggestions. Let's blow through them real quick one more time, just so that everybody can see them. Right here at the end is a big list. So first we have Go Go Loser Ranger by Negi Haruba. We have Yomi no Tsugai / Demons of the Shadow Realm by Hiromu Arakawa. Spiderman Octopus Girl by Furuhashi, Hideyuki, and Betten Court. Tsumiki Oogami's Not So Ordinary Life by Miyu Morishita. Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint by, I wrote Sing Shong. This is what it told me online. And then I looked down here, it says Sing In Song original story. So I don't know. Sing Song and Sleepy Sea is the art there. Dinosaur Sanctuary by Itaru Kinoshita. This is a good, go follow Kinoshita on Twitter. They have a really good Twitter account, I will say. We should now begin. They're funny and they post dinosaur stuff and they speak like enough English to tweet in English every once in a while. So it's fun. We should now begin Ethics by Shiori Amase. Drunk Bullet by Takakuchi Yanagi. Welcome to the Demon School, Iruma-kun by Osamu Nishi, and Galaxias by Aoi Hatezaka. Those are our sort of top 10 things you should be reading that you probably aren't reading right now. So yeah, anything else, Gautam, or is it time to just get out of here?
Yeah, let's call it a wrap.
Cool. Hey, thanks again, everyone, for listening or watching. Don't forget to leave us feedback, comments, upvote, like, subscribe, ring the bell, all those jazz. Check out Twitter and Patreon, of course, linked in the description. And thank you for being with us yet again this week.
Goodbye.
And don't forget to read more manga.